Hello and welcome to day 12 of the 12 days of Giftness. I can't believe we're finally here. We're at the end, the final day of Giftness. Today we're talking about connection, but for the final time, we're going to go through our quotes for the day. Quote number 1, the only thing that will make you happy is being happy with who you are. Oh, another juicy little quote just to wrap up and keep within us. And quote number 2, people will forget what you did. They'll forget what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So let's get into the habit of making people feel amazing. Let's start by making ourselves feel amazing. Let's do the work from the inside and we will come out and make other people feel amazing with our energy and our vibrancy and our love and our kindness and our care for others. The work starts at home first. So connection is very topical at the moment. Considering we've just come through a massive pandemic where we had to socially isolate from each other. No physical touching, not being in the same room or the same house as people, the same building. We're working from home now, school via Zoom, not being able to see friends and family. It's always amazing how we take for granted our freedoms until they're not there, and then suddenly we have to have that thing. We become hyper fixated on having that thing that we're no longer allowed or that we no longer have access to. Loneliness is reported to be at record high levels, and that's incredibly sad. There's never been more people on this planet, more people to connect with, but supposedly we're the loneliest we've ever been. So how do we connect? Why do we connect? What is the importance of connecting with others? It's interesting because we could have hundreds or thousands of friends on social media, hundreds of likes, hundreds of followers, but how many of those people are going to be at the end of the phone or on our doorstep at 3 a.m. when we feel our world is crashing down around us? Who is truly there for us? Who are we truly there for? Most of us will have an inner circle. Most often that inner circle is really small. A lot of people think they need lots of friends. But the question is, would you rather have 10 friends that you're pretty good friends with, or 2 or 3 that you can share your deepest, darkest secrets, your hopes and desires, your fears and frustrations and worries, and know that you are completely safe? They've got your back, they love you for being you, and you just connect on that deeper level. There's also a phenomenon where some people, if they're not associating with the right type of people, their people that really get them, sometimes they can feel lonelier in company with other people than by themselves. Imagine spending years in a relationship, being married to somebody, and not feeling like you really connect with that person, not feeling like they really understand you, not feeling like you can safely go to them with your deepest worries. Those are the people that when we find them, hold on to them, treat them like royalty because they play such crucial roles in our lives. There's a saying that says sometimes you feel like you're not even on the same page. Sometimes we're not even in the same book. We're so vastly disconnected that it feels like there's just no common ground, no mutual interests or things we can really connect on. And it can be really lonely trying to connect with people that just aren't your people. We say find your tribe, find your group that has your back, that you can relax with, you can be funny with, you can share silly jokes and sayings and know that everyone's just gonna get it. No one's gonna look at you like, oh, you're a bit odd, or I don't get your humor, or you need to tone down. And some people are so concerned about others being too loud or too this or too extravagant, too out there, too bright. My advice, never dull your shine for somebody that cannot stand your brightness. They can wear sunglasses and you keep basking in all of your bright, stunning, shining, amazing, brilliant glory. And some people, you might be really good friends with them. You might be deeply connected for a certain amount of time in your life, but then something happens and you might drift apart, you might grow apart. Something happens for one of you and you're suddenly no longer quite on the same page. One of you decides that you'd like to take your relationship in a different direction. That's okay. Sometimes people are only in some of the chapters in our lives and not our whole story. And we do need to learn to be gracious when letting people go. It can be really, really hard losing people, losing friends, losing loved ones, losing partners, but being gracious in separation, being kind, being courteous, being thoughtful, that pays respect, that goes to honor all of the good times you've had previously. So how do we connect? How do we find new friends? How do we find the people that are our people. It can be really challenging in adulthood to make new adult friends. Kids just seem to be friends with anybody. A new kid starts at school and suddenly they've got 10 new friends. Kids join sports teams or clubs or do extracurricular activities, and they meet so many people this way, and this is how they can make beautiful lifelong friendships. We can meet people the same way. Sometimes it feels like life is just going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, spending time with the kids, spending time with the family, seeing our friends on occasion. But for a lot of us, we might not have children. We might not have family that live close by. Our friends might have moved out of town, moved overseas. We might not feel like we can fully connect with all of our colleagues. When we join clubs and groups and sports teams and go and do things that we really enjoy, that is where you'll find people with shared interests, with shared goals, with common things you can talk about. That isn't just, hey, how's work going? If you're meeting and bonding over a shared experience or a mutual enjoyment for a certain thing, it's going to be a lot easier than, say, going to a barbecue or an event where you know one or two people and suddenly you're stuck not knowing what to say, not knowing how to make small talk, not enjoying small talk. And small talk can be really challenging and really draining for a lot of people. A lot of us like to dive deep and get into really juicy, chunky conversations, but unfortunately we don't often do that when we don't know someone. You have to make the small talk, you have to break the ice, you have to put in that work that can sometimes feel a little tedious to know if this person is worth diving a little deeper with. So one thing I have noticed is since getting a dog, I have met so many people and talked to so many people. I've met other dog owners, but also other people that just love dogs. They'll come up, and Greta was like the in-between man. So I go on a lovely walk most days around the river where I used to see a lot of people, and you'd kind of give them a courtesy smile, but you'd keep walking. You'd never say, oh, hi, I see you walking around the river a lot of the time. How are you? Do you live nearby? What are your interests? What are your dreams? It just doesn't really happen. But suddenly when you've got a dog, everybody is interested in you. They want to know about your dog. They want to know about you. She's been a really great social experiment, actually. She seems to cut out the awkward small talk, and we can bond over a mutual enjoyment for animals. I've been invited to events. I've been invited to walking groups. I've met neighbours I didn't know I had, all because I have a dog. And I'm not saying you all have to rush out and get dogs, but finding something that you enjoy, that you can connect mutually with other people on, is really powerful. The interesting thing is I've learned so much about people, and people have opened up a lot to me. They've told me about their lives. They've told me about their mental health struggles just by connecting because I have a dog. I found it really heartening, and I've come to the conclusion that people must associate dog owners with being quite trustworthy. Because if somebody didn't feel safe to tell me something about their personal life, about their mental health, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't tell me. So there are so many groups and clubs and teams and online spaces to meet and connect with other people. Share the love and the connection. And certain times of the year we can feel more lonely or more disconnected than others. Holidays like Christmas can be incredibly isolating, incredibly lonely, incredibly sad for those that have lost loved ones, or for those that don't have family and friends close by and have no one to spend Christmas with. Certain times of the year, if a friend or partner or loved one has passed away, their birthday might be a time of incredible sadness, which is where deep connection, having an amazing support system around you, is so crucial. And there are different causes of depression, but one of the key causes is feeling like you can't connect, feeling like you're among a bunch of people but you don't fit in anywhere, feeling like you're a puzzle piece in a box, but when the puzzle is finally put together, you're a spare piece, you were put in that box by accident, feeling like you just don't fit in. I've definitely had my share of loneliness, or feeling like I can't connect to people, or feeling like I don't fit in certain social situations. But one thing I've learned is I tended to focus on all the ways that I didn't fit in, all the ways I couldn't connect with people, all the ways I was different to those around me. And what you focus on, you tend to get more of. So I've learned to reframe my thinking, alter my perspective, and focus on ways that we are similar. Focus on areas that we can connect with. Focus on things that we do have in common. And just that mental shift can really help reframe how you feel in a situation. And often people think, oh, I never get invited anywhere. No one invites me out for girls' night, or no one invites me to sports games, or to join in with them in their activities, whatever. But on the flip side, do you invite people to things? Do you ask colleagues out for a coffee? Do you play host or hostess? Do you invite other people to things? So that can also be another great way of reframing in our mind, instead of thinking, no one invites me to anything, to how can I put myself out there and invite people to come and hang out with me? You could plan a lunch for your work colleagues. You could put a Facebook request out to your friends and family to see if anyone would like to go hiking or skiing or do an activity in the outdoors. You can also find festivals and events online that you could invite a friend to, and then you can go and meet more people there. There are a lot of ways that we can connect if we choose to put ourselves out there, but sometimes it can be really scary when you move to a different city, if you don't know anybody, to be the person that initiates. Especially if we fear rejection, especially if we've been rejected in the past. We can start to ruminate and think, oh, what if no one comes, or what if no one wants to hang out with me? The more we initiate, the more we put ourselves out there, the easier it'll become. And also when we're connecting with new people, when we're finding new friends, finding new people that we can bond with, we can learn new skills in the process. So let's say you've always wanted to learn pottery, or you've wanted to learn a new language, or you want to learn to cook a certain style of food. You can find night classes or weekend classes where you can learn to make pottery, you can learn to cook, you can learn a new language, and you can meet so many different people at these events, at these groups, at these clubs. And there are a lot of online groups as well that you can connect and join with other people. Most people won't admit it, but people actually love talking about themselves. So if you ask people about them, if you ask people about their hobbies, their interests, get them to teach you something. They'll feel useful, they'll feel needed, they'll feel like they're adding value to the world. It's going to give them a boost, you're going to create a connection, and you're also going to learn something in the process. If you've got elderly neighbours that live alone, they might feel really lonely. You could ask them for tips and tricks in the garden if they've got a really nice garden. You could offer to take their dog for a walk if they're not able to get out as much as they'd like to. You could offer to help them with their groceries or taking their bins out. Sometimes acts of service or allowing them to feel useful by teaching you to garden, teaching you to crochet. That can be really great ways of building a connection, building trust. So where I live in Christchurch, a decade ago, we had a couple of really devastating earthquakes. Most of the city was deeply affected and so many people lost their homes and a lot of people lost their lives. One really good thing that did come out was that people started to connect. Neighbours met each other for the first time. They helped shovel driveways and dig silt out. They helped them clean up houses. They helped them move. They loaned them things. They invited people around for barbecues because they had no power at their house. We pulled together as a city, as a community, as a team. And there were some beautiful connections that came out of it. But it is really sad that we don't take the time to connect and find out even who our neighbours are until something really bad happens, until this crazy event happens, out of mutual suffering, out of mutual pain. And it is really beautiful to see communities pull together, to see cities pull together when atrocities happen, natural disasters, terrorist attacks. But thankfully for most of us, that's not our everyday existence. How do we connect on an everyday level? We have to put in the effort to maintain connections, to make and forge connections. And taking a look inwards and saying, am I a good friend? Am I someone that's kind and thoughtful and caring towards other people? Am I a safe place for people to come to if they need help, if they need assistance? If something goes bad in someone's life, do I offer to help? Do I offer a shoulder to cry on? Do I offer to look after the kids while they sort something out? Do I take over care packages or make dinner to ease their burden when they're going through something stressful? Am I a good friend? Am I someone that I would want to hang out with if I met me? Sometimes it feels like we only ever connect with family at funerals and weddings. And we always say, oh, it was so lovely to see you again. We should catch up again soon. We shouldn't leave it so long. And then after the wedding, after the funeral, we go back to our daily lives, back to our daily routines. We forget about our interactions with all of our distant family. The wedding, the funeral becomes a memory. And before we know it, years have passed before we end up seeing that person again, seeing those family members again. So if we want connection, we have to be willing to put the effort in. All relationships require work. And if you're putting in 100% and your friends and family are putting in 100%, then that should be a recipe for a beautiful relationship, a beautiful connection. But if you're putting in 100% and someone's putting in 50, someone's putting in even 90, are you really connecting on that deeper level? Are you both in it equally? Does this feel balanced or is it one-sided? And sometimes we do need to make the really hard calls to say, hey, you've been an amazing part of my life. I've really enjoyed the journey we've been on. You've been an amazing friend, you've been an amazing partner. But I know that we're going in different directions. I know that we've got different interests. I know that we've got different goals in life. And that's okay. And I love you and I respect you. And I'm happy for you to continue your journey the way that you'd like to go. You have my blessing. Take care, and I'll always be here if you need me. But I respect that you need to grow and do something somewhere else. And we connect with those that we can share our vulnerabilities with. If we're always trying to project this image of perfectionism, there's no room for error, or everything's glossy, there's no cracks, is it all a facade? Are we projecting an image that other people feel comfortable and safe to be in our presence? Can we be vulnerable around others? And when we share our vulnerabilities, others can share their vulnerabilities with us. Sometimes it just takes one person and one comment to say, hey, I'd really like to share something with you. And you share something that is open, that is vulnerable, that shares something that's deep inside you, that the public don't get to see. Lay it on the table. And sometimes we can just watch others breathe and go, oh my gosh, I feel so much more normal. I feel so much better about myself because, I thought you were perfect, or I thought you had everything going for you, and I didn't see the things going on in the background. I didn't know you struggled with that too. And I'm so pleased that you opened up about that, because I feel like I can just be myself around you. I don't have to feel like I have to be perfect all the time. And that can be a beautiful way to build real, true, meaningful friendships, true, lasting connections on shared vulnerabilities. And from there, we can help support and guide and nurture those around us, and in turn, be supported, guided, and nurtured back. And then we're all connected. And then we can feel like we're part of a support network, part of a team, part of a group, part of a club, and not just on our own. When was the last time you were vulnerable with somebody? So I want to end this video, in this course, in this 12-day program, with a story and a song. And this song takes me back to primary school, where once a week we'd go to school assembly. And the first part of assembly, we'd always sing songs. And we had this amazing teacher, Mrs. Barry, and she was just so good on the piano. She was energetic. She just brought the power to the piano, and she was fire on those keys. And there was a song that we learned. It was a Māori song, a Māori waiata. And it was called E tū ka hekatea. And the words to the song say, E tū ka hekatea, he whakapai ororoa, awhi mai, awhi atu, tātou, tātou e. This song is about the ka hekatea tree. And ka hekatea is the Māori word for white pine, a native of New Zealand. And the white pine, the ka hekatea tree, has a very shallow root system, but the roots spread out far and wide. And if one ka hekatea tree grows in isolation and a strong wind comes, the ka hekatea is really easily blown over. But when the ka hekatea grows in a forest, grows amongst a lot of other ka hekatea trees, all of the roots, although shallow, grow together. They combine, they connect, they intertwine, and they strengthen all of the other trees around them. So that when the mighty winds blow, all of the other trees hold on to each other, and they keep each other strong, and they keep each other safe. And that is how the ka hekatea thrives and survives in nature. We can learn a lot from the mighty ka hekatea. When we stand together, when we reach out and support and connect with others, we in turn are stronger, are better. Our lives are enriched, we're supported, we're connected. So if we live our lives like the ka hekatea tree, if we reach out and connect with others and support them, and we let others support us and connect with us, we can be like this. We can be a strong, supported, connected society where we have each other's backs and they have ours. We can live harmonious, connected, fulfilling lives. So thank you so much for being a part of this 12 days, for connecting with me, for allowing me to be vulnerable and putting myself out there, and for the support and love that I have received. And it's been amazing connecting with you. I've heard from people through this course that I haven't heard from for a long time. So many of you have reached out and given me amazing words of encouragement. You've done the activities, you've participated in the group work, you've been vulnerable with me, you've shared your struggles, you've shared your dreams, you've shared your hopes. And that has been so special and more than I could ever imagine. So thank you so much. Remember that this was a gift from me to you to share my appreciation. And if you haven't reached out and you feel like you need to, please send me a message. Please drop me a line. I'll be more than happy to have a chat. Enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week, enjoy the rest of the year, and go and be the amazing gift that I know you are. Tato tato e.